Tonight's RadioActive covers the full spectrum of life here in Utah, from the events and music that bring us together to serious and timely conversations about campus safety that have now taken on new urgency. Tonight, us here at the station will do both. We'll discuss Utah campus gun policies, celebrate local music, and share community stories. I want to emphasize the importance of engaging in both thoughtful journalism and community connection, even during difficult times. And now, here's the show we've prepared for you. Welcome to RadioActive, a show that plugs you into the community. I'm your host, Georgia Metcalf, an emerging journalist from the University of Utah. Stay tuned as other journalists talk about stories they're turned into. Coming up, we've got Braden Ortega with fellow student journalists Emerson Haggie and Casey Flolo talking gun safety on campus. Frank Regalado chatting with Other Side Donuts, doing a quick check-in from their last time here on KRCL and their mission to better the lives of others. And last but not least, we have Jane Bach with featured artist The Hit. Let's get started with some rallies and resources. From September 20th to 21st, the Fisher Mansion Beer Garden will be going on. It'll be presented by Salt Lake City Events and Fisher Brewing Company. The event will be at the Fisher Mansion Historical Site. There will be biking along the Jordan River Parkway, drinks from Fisher Brewing, food trucks, yard games, and live music. The event is from 12 to 8. The admission is free, and the event is open to all ages. You must be 21 to purchase beer within the event. Coming up also, we have Salt Lake City Veg Fest, September 13th from noon to 8, featuring vegan food, live music, an area for kids, and ways to get involved to help animals. Also on September 13th is the Avenue Street Fair from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. The event will be located on 8th Avenue between D and K Streets. The fair features an open art gallery, vendors, food, and live music. Now, these events are some great way to connect us with our community this weekend, all events that remind us of what brings us together. Yesterday's events gives our next conversation immediate relevance. Coming up after this song, Braden Ortega joins us with student journalists Emerson Haggie and Casey Flolo to discuss Utah's campus gun policies and how recent changes affect our university communities. And now, Little Boots by The Hit.
I'm Jane Bach, and this is The Hit. We have Gabby Ducher, the bassist and vocalist, Aiden Benson on guitar, and Connor Armstrong on drums. Welcome to the show. Let us know what we're going to be hearing first.
This song is called Little Boots. This is a new song that we have been working on.
Take it away.
KRCL supports fellow nonprofits in our community, like UAF Legacy Health, presenting the Salt Lake AIDS Walk Saturday, September 27th, 11 to 2 at Liberty Park in Salt Lake City. Walk and learn with interactive stations on HIV/AIDS history, how care and prevention have evolved, plus food trucks, music, a drag show, and more. Info on the rallies and resources page of krcl.org.
Attention all music lovers. KRCL's annual record and CD sales are back with vinyl, CDs, cassettes, and more. Join KRCL fans for 3 days of crate digging, starting with the public opening night on Friday, October 3rd from 5 to 9 p.m., continuing Saturday morning, October 4th from 10 to 2 p.m., and a final sale on Monday, October 6th from 5 to 8 p.m. We've got a new location at the Gateway, 15 South Suite A, Rio Grande Street, right across from the Olympic Fountain. We'll also be introducing the very first Vinyl Valet. All proceeds help power your nonprofit community radio station, 90.9 FM, KRCL. More information, dates, and times at krcl.org.
All right. Thank you so much, The Hit. We have our live stream up now on the website if you want to go to krcl.org. Welcome back, you guys. I'm here with Braden Ortega, who will be interviewing fellow student journalists Emerson Haggie and Casey Flolo. And we're hosting the show tonight again to share stories from the community.
Hi, my name is Braden Ortega, and I'm a fellow student journalist at the University of Utah. Joining us tonight is Emerson Haggie from the Daily Utah Chronicle.
Hello, how are you, Braden?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Emerson, tell me about your perspective reporting on the University of Utah's new open carry policy.
Yeah, so it's kind of been a process to get that one reported. It started with this At the U article, which is where we kind of get some of this information because we don't necessarily get the initial press releases from the university, right? So the university sent out this At the U article saying, hey, open carry is now allowed on campus. And we're like, oh, what is that? So we got initially assigned our reporter, Tiana Sorensen. Shout out Tiana. She's called Gun Girl now because she has reported a lot on guns recently.
Okay.
And so we got her kind of on that, and she did a great job banging out that article. She interviewed police captain Jason, butchered the last name, Hinjosa. She did a great job with that, and that was kind of the initial article that really got the information out to students. And then we did a follow-up article that I co-authored with Tiana, interviewing both faculty and students and kind of their perspectives on that. And that's what we really wanted to do, is kind of ground it within the faculty and student voice because, it's a huge policy.
Yeah. What common misconceptions about firearms were debunked, if any? Did you learn anything new about gun ownership?
I actually learned a lot about gun ownership in Utah. It seems that the state of Utah, especially in relation to campus, it's one of the most I should use the word, I guess, liberal states with that, and I mean free in that. Utah became a constitutional carry state in 2021 under House Bill 61. And then with House Bill 128, that basically all that did, and this was kind of what started this whole open carry debate, was House Bill 128 cleaned up the language from House Bill 60. Sorry, it was House Bill 60 for open carry. And what that allowed is if you have a permit, 18 and above, registered in the state of Utah, you can open carry on campus. Previously, the U and I suppose Utah State and kind of all the other universities in Utah only allowed concealed carry because that was under statute with the law. But due to this kind of revision of the law, the U has to be in compliance with that since it's the state legislature. And so, open carry is now legal on campus. So
under this law, are other open carry policies, do they transfer over from other states to this state?
I'm not entirely for sure. I know in comparison, I think that I've looked at with other states, and I don't have any off the top of my head, it does seem where Utah is one of the few states that allow open carrying on campus.
Really?
You know, you even have universities in, you know, like when my dad was going to Texas Tech in Lubbock, Texas, you know, that's as guns as it gets, right?
Yeah.
He was talking about, you know, if you had a weapon on campus, you would have to turn it in, you know, in your dorm. You couldn't keep it in your dorm, couldn't do any of that. You'd have to turn the rifle in or whatever you had into certain closet or something that they had on campus. But that is something that, you know, we don't have at the U.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
With gun violence being such a big issue today, what was the response from students and faculty? Was it mainly positive or negative?
A lot of it was negative. I think interviewing students and faculty, you know, first off, faculty was just, I mean, they seemed a little upset. You know, I went to the academic senate meeting last month, and, you know, you had professors that were concerned about, okay, what if somebody brings a gun into a laboratory? What do we do? You know, because there's a lot of explosive materials, you know, within those labs on campus. You know, other professors were very concerned about what do we do if we have a student open carrying, you know, in our classroom. You know, that's a major concern. And then I think on the student side, what a lot of students were concerned about is they don't really understand the language per se. And I don't think it's been very well communicated to students either. You know, that is something that in this past academic senate meeting, Alex Rose, the ASU president who represents students, and, you know, that's like one of the only seats that students have on the academic senate, he brought up saying, you know, we didn't get this communicated to us very well.
Yeah, I have seen no communication about anything related to this bill or any changes to open carry policy. I had no idea until I read your article.
Exactly. And, you know, and we interviewed students, and, you know, one of them said, yeah, we had no idea until the Chronicle reported on it. And talking, and when Tiana talked to Captain Jason at the Utah Police, he said that they implemented the new changes in new student orientation presentations. And so that, I think, is getting communicated to, I mean, obviously off that, to freshmen.
Yeah.
But the rest of campus, you know, the rest of the student body really doesn't have any idea of what's going on.
They're kind of just saying you're on your own to find this out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Did your role as a news writer, rather than opinion or editorial, affect your coverage of the issue? Because I know it's a hard topic to cover.
Yeah, and I think we have to be very balanced. You know, I'm news editor for the Chronicle, and I really strive for that balance in coverage, and that's something that I think that, you know, we really want and kind of cross all of our articles, especially in very sensitive topics like that, because you know, if we don't do that, you know, we're going to make folks mad on both sides, and that's something that we don't want to do. We want to report the facts, and we want to get it out as clear and as informational and as accessible as possible.
Yes, absolutely. Who did you talk to out of all the students and faculty that changed your perspective on this issue the most?
Yeah, that's a hard one. I really think it was the academic senate meeting that I sat in and listening to faculty's concerns on it, because they were just, you know, so I guess a lot of them were very upset that spoke about, you know, they just didn't know what to do. It was confusion. It was, you know, I don't want to use the word chaos, but it kind of felt like that, because, you know, they're talking directly to the CSO, Keith Squires, about this stuff. And, you know, he's saying, you know, we'll get on it. But I think the faculty, and I don't speak for the faculty here, there wasn't a ton of reassurance kind of coming out of that meeting.
And speaking of Squires, in response to faculty concerns, College of Law professor Leslie Francis moved for Squires to initiate a process to create a mechanism or a hotline or a physical button to help faculty or staff who may encounter weapons in the classroom. Can you elaborate a little more on that, Emerson?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it was exactly that. And so basically what they motioned for was for CSO Squires to start looking into something like that, you know, because they were trying to kind of workshop it in that meeting, and, you know, they're like, we don't really have time for this, you know. And so that's what the motion did, is, you know, it basically made him to look into that. What can we do, you know, if they see somebody on campus? Because, you know, I think the biggest concern was, you know, we don't want to be confrontational with somebody that is open carrying. That's right. True. And so they wanted like an app or something that they can do it discreetly, right? Because as of right now, really the only advice that they gave was just like, hey, call the police if you see somebody open carrying, because they will go check that, go check if they have a permit, all of that, and that was coming directly from Squires. But overall, I think that mechanism was designed to kind of like do it in a more discreet way. But as of right now, I haven't heard anything, if anything is necessarily happening.
So it more or less seems just like a dialogue has been started, and we're kind of starting the process of looking into it.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I don't have a timeline on how long that's going to take.
Okay. And do you plan to report on the implementation of this process, however long in the future that may be?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's what we really want to do, is just keep folks up to date with this, because it's especially important to, get this information out, and I think a big goal of ours is to become kind of the forefront on campus for this news, instead of folks going to at the U or, even the Tribune will beat us to some things on that.
All right, shifting a little, you also wrote the breaking story from the Utah Chronicle yesterday about the Charlie Kirk shooting. Yeah. Tell me a little bit more about that process and what all went into that chaotic day yesterday.
Yeah, so that was a very chaotic day. I got a Slack message from our advisor Marcy saying, Charlie Kirk got shot at UVU today, and I was like, wow. I didn't really believe it, and I was kind of like scrolling through, kind of panicking class. But I think what ultimately ended up happening is we really just, I was sending out messages to my editors like, who should we put on this? And ultimately, one of my editors, Lena, she was like, hey, we should just write ourselves. And I was like, yeah, that obviously that makes sense. And so I kind of, quote unquote, assembled the troops, just being like, whoever can, go to the student media office. And, we sat down and immediately got to work on that. And, I think our biggest thing from that article is like, how do we get our own unique angle on this, right? Because we want to provide something new that's not going to be reported by the Times or, even the Tribune, right? And so a big thing that we did was went out and got student perspectives on that. Tiana Sorensen, she called people that she knew from UVU and was like, hey, like what's happening right now, and so we were able to get like really early quotes. I think one of the, craziest things that happened too is Kate, another editor, she was going around campus and trying to interview U of U students, but, no one really wants to talk about that. That's a brutal process, right? But she ended up finding this guy from SIGEP, and he was kind of talking about it, gave some really good quotes. And, he also was telling us that Kirk basically got confirmed dead because they knew a nurse, one of his friend's moms was a nurse at the hospital. Wow. Knew he was dead, and that he was pronounced dead at the hospital, and that information got to us 2 hours before any major news outlet was able to report that. But of course, we can't really confirm that, so we weren't allowed to report it. But it was just a really quick, fast process, very stressful. Yeah, I'm sure. Stressful process.
And
all right, thank you so much, Braden and Emerson. Before we move on, share where to find your work so listeners can keep up.
Yeah, so dailyutahchronicle.com is kind of the big one. If you just Google us, it'll pop up. If you're a student on campus or faculty or anybody, this pops up in your email. Headlines will pop up in your email every single day. And so I'd say those are the best ones. Also, Instagram's a big one. We'll have a lot more content coming there as well.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Thank you.
Of course.
All right, we're also here with Casey Flolo, who is a University of Utah journalism student and experienced gun user.
Casey, you grew up shooting mostly to hunt. In your article, you mentioned that the state of Utah has issued over 1,400 CCPs or concealed carry permits to 18 to 20-year-olds. Even though the bill allows CCP owners to carry weapons on campus, has only been in effect for about 4 months. How knowledgeable would you say these new concealed carry permit holders are in comparison to before the bill took effect?
I think before the bill took effect, I could see these carriers being a lot more knowledgeable because it was harder to get that, and I think there was less reason for people, I feel like, to feel like they needed to carry a gun. Oh, yeah. I feel like now on campus, knowing that there could be, anyone walking past you with a gun on them as long as they have a concealed weapons permit, I think it will make people want to get them more, and just because people can means they will, and that doesn't mean if they've grown up with guns or, have had, prior experiences that make them feel entitled to have a gun, I feel like people are going to start just getting them because they can, and therefore they will be less knowledgeable because of just the accessibility to that.
I absolutely agree. When it becomes more accessible, I think a lot of the standards and the reviews kind of go by the wayside, quite honestly. How does this affect your status as a gun owner?
Personally, I have no interest in wanting to have a concealed weapons permit. I've never felt the need to do that. I've always learned that, guns are not meant to be used on other people. They're meant to be used for like actual productive opportunities, as in like hunting and sport and just like any type of work, like for that type of stuff. It doesn't really affect my status much, as I just only have a hunting license, and I have no interest in ever owning a handgun.
Okay. How did your role as an opinion writer with firsthand experience impact your reporting style?
I think part of it was hard not to cross over, in my opinion, with the facts. And I think writing this op-ed I recently did on, the new policy on campus, it was kind of hard to like not say things that I knew, but I didn't have sources to back that up. Just knowing from like firsthand accounts of like knowing people around me and knowing, how people can be with guns, and just hearing mouth of word isn't something I can totally use in an opinion piece to back myself up. That's not the most credible thing I could do as a journalist. So it's definitely, I think it strengthens my background, but it also makes it harder in some ways to write pieces. Yeah.
And it is really hard to find that balance when you're writing a piece like this.
Totally.
How does this bill make you personally feel as someone who grew up around guns?
I feel scared. I've grown up with more like rifles, but I grew up with a really good relationship with guns, and it never really occurred to me that like gun violence was never something at the top of my mind until about middle school. And since then, like knowing that, that is a real problem in our country. Sorry. It makes me feel scared more to like knowing that I know that I am knowledgeable about guns. I don't know what someone next to me knows about guns.
Absolutely.
And knowing that in a more urban area like Salt Lake, less people are going to be knowledgeable about guns. I'm from a more rural area in Idaho, and I know that most kids that I went to high school with went through hunter's education and know how to shoot a gun and know not to point that at someone. That's the first thing you learn. And here I can't say the same about the thousands of kids I go to school with now compared to the 200 kids I went to school with in Idaho.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree.
I think we'd be remiss not to ask you questions about Charlie Kirk. How does seeing and hearing about that tragedy make you feel as a gun owner?
It makes me feel a little bit ashamed as a gun owner because, like, as much as I, have also I've actively chosen to surround myself with guns, and I've grown up with guns in the house. And I have been hunting since I was 11 years old. And for the fact that I have actively chosen to be around guns, yet I have never firsthand experienced gun violence, it's really unfair to those who want nothing to do with guns, yet had to experience what happened yesterday at UVU and also what happened yesterday at that Colorado school.
Yes.
These kids who witnessed the shooting with Charlie Kirk and at that school, most of them probably wanted nothing to do with guns, yet unfortunately had to deal with that. And I just think this reinforces how much gun violence is a problem in our country, and it doesn't matter who it is. And I know Charlie Kirk was a supporter of the Second Amendment, but this kind of just again reinforces that needs to be looked over. And
all of us are affected by gun violence. No matter your political beliefs, all of us are affected, and it is really scary. I was watching the events unfold at UVU yesterday, and I was terrified. You don't know if a copycat crime is going to occur at your school. You have no idea. It's really scary time.
Totally.
Yeah, and Casey, in terms of campus safety, I have heard there's going to be an increased police presence on campus. U Public Safety is going to be collaborating with federal, state, and local law enforcement since the suspect is still at large, just trying to apprehend them. There's also support services available both UVU and the U put out links to that. So yeah. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Emerson and Casey. Really
Thanks.
appreciate your insight.
Yeah. This is a really timely discussion. These are very important conversations. We really appreciate your thoughtful reporting on these issues. All right. And then coming up after this next song by The Hit, we are going to shift focus to hear from the Other Side Donuts and their work supporting formerly homeless individuals in our community. All right, back to The Hit. You're listening to RadioActive on KRCL.
Hi, I'm here with The Hit. Before we start another song, could you guys tell us how you got started and where you're from?
Yeah, so Aiden and I actually met in high school, and we started another project a few years back. And about 2 years ago, Connor joined us, and we've been The Hit for about 1.5 years now.
Awesome. And how would you guys describe your sound? I know we just heard a little bit of it.
Yeah, I would say our sound is kind of post-punk, alternative, kind of noise, dance music.
Yeah. Great. And can you let us know what we're going to be hearing next?
Yeah, this song is called Juice WRLD, and this is on our EP.
All right, awesome.
Every day, KRCL goes above and beyond in order to create a gathering place for our community. That includes local musicians, grassroots activists, charitable organizations, and, most importantly, you. Our listeners have always been, and will always be, our biggest supporters. Lend your voice to the fight by making a donation during our Fall Radiothon, happening September 13th through 27th.
Support for KRCL comes from the South Salt Lake Arts Council, presenting Crafttoberfest on Saturday, October 4th, a block party celebration of South Salt Lake's businesses located on Oakland Avenue between West Temple and Main Street. Live music, food, craft brews, and cocktails. Open to the public with art vendors and kid activities. More info at sslarts.org.
All right, that was Juice WRLD by The Hit. We're talking to Frank Regalado here with Robbie Myrick from Other Side Donuts.
Greetings, KRCL listeners. My name is Frank Regalado. I'm an aspiring journalist from the University of Utah. I'm here to share a follow-up story with you. You may remember over a year ago, KRCL and University of Utah students did a series called Stories from the Other Side. This followed stories from the Other Side Academy, a nonprofit dedicated to changing the lives of the formerly homeless, criminals, and substance abusers. One of those stories involved the Other Side Donuts, a social enterprise at 760 South Redwood Road, 2 months before their grand opening. What's their purpose? They help fund the Other Side Village, which gives housing, supportive services, and a sense of community to its residents. How have things been since the donut shop opened, and where do they see themselves going? To answer that, first we'll go back into time to April 2024 to hear from the voices of Nicholas Smith, General Manager of the Other Side Donuts, and Mo Egan, the Director of Recruiting for the Other Side Village.
First idea for the Other Side Village came into kind of as an idea. We knew we'd need social enterprises to kind of fund that and to try and create some type of self-sufficient place for the chronically homeless to go to, as well as work and provide for themselves. We took some of those ideas of over-the-top, family-friendly, kind of a whole experience, and took that and applied it to donuts. But my focus is the people. I love seeing the light come on people's eyes. I love mentoring. I love being here to help with that.
We're going to open up a donut shop here in Salt Lake City. We wanted it to be over the top. And so we found a location with 4,500 square feet that we're looking to have a grand opening probably in the next month or so. Yeah, we're pretty excited about it. We think it's going to be a destination that anybody that visits Salt Lake City, you can't leave unless you've gone by and the Other Side Donuts and had that experience. So we're getting close, and it's very exciting.
Now, 14 months later, we caught up with Nicholas Smith to reflect on the past year and look into the future.
Well, I'd say it's been a roller coaster. As far as expectations, we really didn't know what to expect, right? We're kind of doing something brand new. I don't have a history in running a donut shop, let alone a social enterprise that operates using people formerly homeless and living off the streets. And I think by every metric, it is just kind of better than we could have hoped. You know, we are seeing the benefits of having a strong culture when these guys are at work. So a business is going really well. Done from, myself included, people that were formerly takers, right? Formerly incarcerated, my own version of homelessness, graduate of the academy myself, what we've been able to accomplish. We've had overwhelming support from this side of town, Salt Lake County, South Salt Lake. All the amazing board members and community members have come together to not only create the simplest things like different donut flavors, but to some of the large donations to help us purchase our food trucks, and the continued support of anybody that comes and volunteers at the village and the donut shop. So it's been an amazing year. The brand, as well as all of our lived experience, makes us different. You can go to your classic big box donut shop, but you're not getting that mission, that feel, right? But you can rest assured if you come in here that everybody you interact with, the people that you're supporting, the money goes directly to them and the cause. Here we take that money, invest it back in, and grow the business into the next thing that's going to save the next guy. And not just from a business perspective, but the leaders here are the ones that went through the program, and they're the ones that are giving it back to the next person. And that's just how this keeps going. I did it myself. Somebody gave it to me, and so I'm giving it to the next person coming after me. So we live this surreal life where we're surrounded by miracles consistently. Like, we're so used to seeing people do breakthroughs and recognize an emotional piece that they've held on to a long time, or deal with some type of trauma that they've never had to deal with. And we get to coach people through and get them to a place and allow them to move through with their lives. If you come here, that means you're ready for change. And we are more equipped to guide you through that process. We're 70 to 80% success rate. And so we are seeing the change. I see the light in their eyes every day when they come. They're rediscovering who they are. There's a passion. I mean, we're just making donuts here, but there's a passion behind what we're doing. So by the end of 2026, the goal is $3 million in revenue and a fully operational wholesale donut production line, and potentially looking at international donut sales, and maybe one other retail location like the one you're sitting in. That's my unrealistic goal. So I'm going to do everything I can to make that happen. So.
We also caught up with Gideon Neiman, an Academy graduate and current retail operations manager for the shop.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of changes for me. Before I graduated, I was hourly staff. I became the retail operations manager, moved on to salary. That's kind of a big deal from a year before when I was still working as part of the social enterprise, where you don't get paid, but it goes towards your rent. Being homeless and getting off the street, having structure in your life, and then have a permanent job that you can count on, it is a big deal for a lot of people. What I've learned is it's okay to fail and to get up, dust yourself off, and to try again. I was in charge of our birthday celebration party planning, and I anticipated we're going to be way busier than we were. So we made 11,000 donuts.
Wow.
We weren't that busy, so we had a surplus of donuts that we, at the end of the day, started to sell for $5 a dozen. And the local community supports us. They follow us on social media. As soon as that post hit social media, we just saw an influx of people coming for those $5 dozens. We're not just a donut shop. We are a non-profit that helps support the other side village. We are a community of chronically homeless, prior homeless people. So what we do is we save lives. Donuts come second. So we sell the donuts to be able to save more lives. So that's what we do here.
And that brings us to today. We're joined in studio with Robbie Myrick, Director of Human First Culture for the Other Side Village. Hi, Robbie. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me today.
So what does your title of Director of Human First Culture entail?
So I oversee the coach team for the village location, which is where the small homes are located. There's a team of coaches who live on site there. And there's also a residential prep school facility, which is basically the landing zone for the first 6 to 12 months where people get their foundation. There's a team of coaches there as well. And so I oversee the team for the prep school and the village.
Ah, nice. And you're friends with Nicholas Smith, and you work a lot with these people that come through the donut shop, employees, people who are involved with the village. How have things been in the past year with this shop and people you come into contact with every day? Do you feel like you see a lot of growth and transformation in people?
Yeah, 100%. So that's kind of how our model works, is that we believe there's so much dignity in work, and some of the things you need to work on to build a healthy life, they come out during the workday. And so while people are in the prep school, they work in the social enterprises, and it serves twofold. One, they get to grow through these challenges they face every day. And two, they get to get vocational training, where often it turns into a paid position when they graduate from the prep school. So they move into their small home and they have a job where they're paying rent, and you watch them thrive. It is amazing to see people come in there, go to work every day, and slowly but surely you feel more confident, more capable, and realize, you know what, I can do this. And it's been a long time since a lot of these people have worked, so they need a safe environment that doesn't pull punches but tells you, hey, you're infinitely capable and you can do this.
Right. Just like Nicholas Smith said, there's miracles you guys see every day. And so there was a great piece that was done on you in utahstories.com. It kind of just went over your history of addiction, and I was wondering, do you feel that your unique experiences help you relate to the participants with the other side, and do you feel like that helps you give them better support?
Yeah, I think that that's another part of how our model works, is that all the people who are coaches right now have some sort of lived experience. So they've walked the same shoes as the people who are currently going through that journey. And so when we sit down to have a conversation, it's not a case manager and a client. It's two people who are fighting the same battle, and maybe some of the things I've been through can help you. And all those beautiful moments of real change where people are fighting for their life, they rarely happen in a 9 to 5. And so the lived experience piece is super valuable for us.
And something interesting that Nicholas Smith told me was that some of the pillars for change regarding the homeless community and its related problems, in his opinion, it's community, safety, support, and purpose. Well, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so when people first come in there, you know, they want to see themselves as able to change, but they don't know what they're getting into. And so our community's built on honesty, accountability, and integrity. We're what's called a 200% accountability model, which means if I say I care about you and I'm your friend, I'm 100% accountable for the choices that I make and 100% accountable for how I influence you. And so it's beautiful. What you see is a house full of people who take every opportunity they can to make each other better, and who don't pull punches. Like I said, we hold each other to a really high standard, but there's so much support that you get to watch people feel intimidated by these things we're saying you can accomplish. Very quickly they realize, oh man, I am doing this, and then they turn around to help the newest next person, and there's nothing more beautiful to watch than that.
Wow, it's amazing. What would you say is the greatest thing you've learned about yourself, or maybe people in general that are affiliated with the shop and the Other Side Village?
I would say that I'm lucky, maybe blessed is a better word, but I get to be proved wrong often and realize that even the most marginalized people in society are capable of things that are unimaginable. And so you watch people come in, and we all make assumptions or think, you know, let's see how this person's going to do. And time again, you watch people become somebody totally new, accomplish these things that are amazing, and really take over their life and thrive. And by the time they get to move into the village, we have people who are salary employees, and they've got their home, they've got their support networks, and they're doing things that you know, some people never get the opportunity to do again, and we get to see it every day. And so, you know, constantly being inspired by things like that, I feel blessed.
Wow. And what advice would you give to others who are looking to change their lives and want to get on to a similar path to you, or people that you've met through this program?
Yeah, so the Other Side Village will help anybody who's chronically homeless and is a Utah resident. And the Other Side Academy offers a lot of help as well. And you can just reach out and apply at the Academy. We love to get anybody we can into the village, but even if not with our organization, I would just tell people that change is real, that there is opportunity out there. You can be somewhere different in a year. It just takes a little bit of hard work and a supportive community. You know, everybody wants this beautiful life, and a lot of times people want to get there the easiest route, and those things don't go together. If you want to change your life, it takes some hard effort, but surround yourself with people who are walking the same path.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Robbie. We're going to taste test some of these donuts with you, but first, where can people find more information about the Other Side Village and Donut Shop?
Yeah, so they can go to theothersidedonuts.com, And they can also go to theothersidevillage.com, and they'd be able to find anything about us. And we do the best we can to get our names out there in the public. If you go drop by the shop, it's like Disneyland. You'll get to see some of the neighbors who are working there every day and have some beautiful conversations and an awesome experience. So we hope anybody comes and checks us out.
All right. Thank you so much, Robbie. Donuts for a good cause, everyone. It's better than that. I'm going to kick off this taste test because I'm very intrigued by this donut. There's bacon on it. This is the 24K maple honey bacon, right?
Yep.
All right. Okay, let's try it.
It's one of our best sellers.
The bacon's glistening like a brown diamond.
I know it was calling to me.
Yeah, we went to the Utah Dough Show and got 3 out of the 5 awards, and we were the new people on campus, and we were intimidated going in there. And we got crowd favorite, we got favorite booth, we got a few different awards. And so when we say they're award winning, that's no joke.
Oh, I believe it.
I really like the filling in that Twinkie donut. That's really good.
Yeah, it's not your Krispy Kreme.
Yeah, the bacon actually pairs really nicely with the honey. Super, super good.
I have the Violet's Forbidden Blueberry Crumble. Really good. If the Beatles had a do-over, they'd probably say Blueberry Fields Forever.
Okay, I also have, this is the Forever Yours Twinkie, or no, this is, oh, actually just, Braden just let me know this is the Sprinkle Apocalypse donut. Gonna try this one out. All right. Okay. Very sweet. I like it. I'm a big fan of donuts with sprinkles, so really like this one.
I gotta wonder what makes it a Sprinkle Apocalypse donut. Do you know?
They say we've lost a few people in experimentation, so.
This milk and cereal donut with little Cinnamon Toast Crunch is very good. Cinnamon Toast Crunch is my favorite cereal, so this is my favorite donut right here.
Yeah, mine as well. The cereal rotates all the time, and
really?
When they're experimenting new donuts, there's some unimaginable stuff they bring to the table.
Yeah, I've never seen variety like this at a donut store before. Usually it's just the same old kind of flavors you see every time.
Yeah, they wanted to create a whole experience to it, and so when you walk into the shop, there's sprinkles on the ceiling and glitter on the walls, and you can smell the donuts in the air, the disco ball, all kinds of things.
That's awesome. I like that it's an experience, kind of a community-based thing instead of, you just go and get your donuts and it's the end.
Yeah. And every donut's going towards saving a life, too.
Yeah,
so.
of course. It makes it so much better.
All right. Okay, I have my third and final donut. Super excited. This is the Strawberry Short Cheesecake. I don't know if you guys also have that. I'm really, really excited.
Few people are salivating.
I'm like worried people can hear me chewing. Oh, that's my favorite. That's my favorite so far for sure.
What's in it?
Okay, so we have these little cheesecake cubes. Very nice. Trying to talk with my mouth full. Also super fun. Have some strawberries on top, some whipped cream, this kind of funnel cake looking donut. Super delicious. What do you guys think?
My last donut is the maple butterfinger. And for people who like maple and chocolate, this is the donut for you.
Yeah, the maple's the one I go for every time.
Delicious.
All right, that's Robbie Myrick from the Other Side Village, everyone. Next up, more from local band The Hit.
Thanks so much, Robbie.
Yeah,
Thank you, Robbie.
Oh. Hi, Jane.
Hi, I'm back with The Hit. What is your favorite song to play from your newest EP, Heart and the Good Chin?
This next song that we're about to play is called Screens. It's the opening track on our EP. It's definitely our favorite to play.
Awesome. And tell everyone what you have coming up. What's your next project or show?
What?
Yeah, we have a show at the end of the month, September 26th. We're playing at the Sun House in Salt Lake. And all of the proceeds are going to People's Mutual Aid Fund for families who have been impacted by ICE.
Awesome. We'll definitely be there. Show up for a good cause. And before we move on, share your socials so people can keep up with your work.
Yeah, on TikTok as well as Instagram, we're thehit.com with 2 M's.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
KRCL, Salt Lake City.
You're tuned to 90.9 FM, KRCL.